We are all bracing for some big winter weather tonight and into tomorrow. We'll tell you how our local utilities are preparing for the cold and how state officials are wanting everyone to be prepared.
Plus, the U.S. House passed a bill that would require federal authorities to detain immigrants in the country illegally who are either arrested or charged with thefts. The incident that led to this bill's creation.
And a dry radar right now. That will change by tonight into tomorrow. I'll have a look at your latest forecast here at First Warning Weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
We are taking a live look now over downtown Austin. We want to start with your forecast because it has been changing and really all eyes are on it here in Central Texas and in parts across the state.
A very cold start to your Wednesday out there, but we want to go to meteorologist Tommy House. And Tommy, even though it's cloudy out there, some people in our area saw some snow flurries just this morning.
Some beautiful flurries, no accumulation, unfortunately. I actually stepped outside in between my 7 to 9 show to see if I could see anything. Unfortunately, there was nothing to see in downtown Austin. Hill Country, though, saw some videos sent in out toward Mason that actually had impressive flurry activity, which in Central Texas standards is a pretty big deal. Clouds in radar. Cloud cover is keeping us cold today. A lot of us may not get out of the 30s. 37 at Camp Mabry. Winds are out of the north at 9 miles per hour, and it feels like 30 degrees. How about that? So wind chill factor will continue throughout the day today. Cedar and mold, KXAN.com/allergy has these elements updated for you 24/7, and they are both trending down. So winds will be out of the north at 5 to 10 miles per hour today. Could be gusty at times between 15 and 25 miles per hour. Currently right now, Bastrop has a 13 mile per hour rate there. Lockhart 14 miles per hour. And with wind chills, all of us are at below freezing for that real feel. So bundle up today. It is going to be a cold one compared to yesterday and Monday. We're going to be about 10 degrees colder today and even into tomorrow as well. So big picture, it's cloudy, it's cold, it's breezy. Bundle up throughout the afternoon hours, and the air temperatures are pretty much all of us in the 30s. The exception is San Marcos, clocking in at 41 degrees as of right now. So we'll be tracking these temperatures throughout the day, and the big question is how cold will we stay today into tonight, which may play a big factor into who starts off with rain tomorrow versus ice. I'll show you the latest computer model runs coming up in just a bit.
Tommy, thank you so much. New this midday hour, state leaders want you to know how they want you to prepare as this winter weather heads our way.
Yeah, Texas Governor Greg Abbott and other state leaders held a press conference earlier today, and he is saying that more than 345 warming centers are open in Texas. At least 2,000 TxDOT employees have also been deployed to treat some of our major roads, overpasses, and bridges to keep everyone safe as that winter precipitation is expected to arrive overnight and into Thursday. Governor Abbott also spoke on the state's power grid, and he says the grid is in a strong position. That was later reiterated by ERCOT's CEO, Pablo Vegas.
As the governor noted and Chief Kidd noted, we do expect to have more than adequate supply of power to serve the state throughout this winter event. As a point of reference, we have added more than 10,000 megawatts of new generation just this year since the last winter. And so we've got more supply on the grid than we ever have had before, and we've been coordinating very closely with all the power generators and the transmission distribution utility companies over the last week in preparation for this upcoming weather event.
He and Governor Abbott both said if you experience power loss during this time, they do believe it will not be because of issues with the power grid, but an impact on local power lines. That's something we saw a lot in 2023. You'll remember those downed branches and trees were taking out local lines. They are asking you to contact your power provider. Here, a lot of people, that's Austin Energy, if anything like that happens. Well, with this winter weather moving through, many people worried about the power, but other people are worried about the potential to lose water.
Yeah, those fears really stem from the 2021 winter storm when some people went weeks without a reliable water source. Our senior science reporter Eric Henriksen was out early this morning to take a look at how big of an impact that storm several years ago had on our utilities.
Good morning. Back in 2021, the Ulrich wastewater treatment plant behind us lost power due to the numerous rolling outages across the state. As a result of that power loss, a boil water notice was issued for the city of Austin. That was just one of the many hurdles the utility faced at that time.
We had several days of sustained below freezing temperatures. We definitely had a lot of freezing equipment, broken pipelines. We experienced power loss at some of our major facilities, and so we did have some interruptions in our water and wastewater service.
Austin Water tells me that in the years since that storm, they've taken numerous steps to prevent similar losses. That includes weatherization checklists, improving resiliencies and redundancies in their power systems, generators at their more remote facilities, and new staffing protocols to help address customer issues. Now, while they're taking extra steps, you can take extra steps yourself. You can insulate your pipes. You can open your cabinets below your sinks to help that warm air get inside. And don't forget to drip your pipes while we have the cold weather. In Austin, Eric Hendrickson, KXAN News.
Eric, thank you. Austin Energy leaders say their crews are prepared for any potential issues this week. Still, they are warning people to make preparations today ahead of tomorrow. Many who lost power during that big ice storm in 2023 say they're especially making sure they are prepared.
We have seen what can happen, so your best bet is to not panic buy at the grocery stores. Get what little that you need, take care of what you can at home, hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
Wise words from someone who lived it there. Okay, to prepare for a possible outage, Austin Energy recommends you charge up some portable power banks to keep your phone charged. They also recommend you prepare an emergency kit with flashlights, batteries, blankets, non-perishable food, and a first aid kit. Right now on our website, KXAN.com, we've compiled all of the winter weather advice that we have heard so far from officials, including tips to protect the 4 Ps. That's people, pets, pipes, and plants. Plus, we've got instructions on how to get mobile alerts so that you can stay informed. The time now 12:06. In some other news, a man is dead after a shooting involving police officers in Round Rock.
Police say this all happened last night near Interstate 35 and Westinghouse Drive. This all unfolded last night just after 9:30. Police initially responded to a car that crashed in that area. When police showed up, they say the man actually took off into a wooded area nearby. Because it was so dark, police could not find him, so they ended up calling in a drone to try to help. The drone did locate the man, but that's when police say the man began shooting at the drone and at officers. Police say that lasted for several minutes. Officers did not return fire, though, because they say they could not see where that man was.
SWAT was eventually called out to the scene, and they ended up making contact with the man. There was what police are calling a confrontation between him and an officer. An officer did fire a round. However, police say it also appears the man turned the gun on himself. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
Multiple agencies responded to the scene once shots were being fired at officers. Georgetown Police Department, Cedar Park Police Department, Department of Public Safety, and Williamson County. Our fire department was also on scene.
Police are now investigating whether or not the officer's gunfire killed the man or if it was from the man shooting himself. No officers were hurt in this incident, and police are continuing that investigation.
Turning now to Washington, the U.S. House passed a bill yesterday aimed at detaining immigrants who are in the country illegally who have been charged with theft.
It comes in response to the death of 22-year-old Laken Riley, whose killer was here illegally. Washington correspondent Maddie Beer-Temple reports on the Laken Riley Act, which passed with bipartisan support.
With 264 yeas, including 48 Democrats, House lawmakers passed the Laken Riley Act Monday.
She was just out for a jog, enjoying the day, when an illegal criminal took her life away.
Congressman Mike Collins described the death of 22-year-old Georgia nursing student Laken Riley last February. The man convicted of killing her, Venezuelan migrant Jose Ibarra, was in the country illegally. He's now serving life in prison.
This legislation could have prevented her death.
The Laken Riley Act would require federal authorities to detain illegal immigrants arrested, charged with, or convicted of theft-related crimes.
No due process required at all.
Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin says expanding the detention requirement to include those accused of theft could sweep up innocent people.
This allows us to get up and demonize immigrants without doing anything to fix the immigration system.
But Wisconsin Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden says the government needs to first protect its citizens. He recounted crimes in his own state he says this bill could have prevented.
None of this would have taken place if this person was detained and deported for a simple property crime. Enough!
The bill also lets states sue federal agencies for failing to enforce immigration laws. Some Democrats argued states don't have standing to do that.
And this provision is almost certainly unconstitutional.
The bill now heads to the Republican-controlled Senate.
And John Thune wants to move that bill as early as this week.
In Washington, I'm Maddie Beertemple.
Back here in Texas, the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, is speaking up in the contentious ongoing battle for House Speaker. He joined some top GOP leadership in Leander yesterday, rallying support for David Cook of Mansfield. In just a week, lawmakers in the Texas House of Representatives will vote on either Cook, who has the support of the majority of Republicans in the House, or Dustin Burrows of Lubbock, who is backed by a smaller faction in his party and is hoping for some Democratic support to push him over the threshold. Paxton told the crowd he wants to help unite a party that's been divided over the issue.
I do want them to make a choice amongst the caucus. I think that's the only way that I can accomplish my goals and that every Republican can accomplish the goals that they were elected for.
This rally marked just one of several events across the state meant to put pressure on lawmakers ahead of a vote next Tuesday. These leaders, of course, wanting the lawmakers to vote for David Cook. This rally in Leander was likely meant to put pressure on Representative Terry Wilson, who represents parts of Williamson County. Extreme winter weather is affecting millions of people across the United States this week, with snow and freezing temperatures hitting some states that don't normally deal with it. NBC's Priscilla Thompson is on the ground in Dallas.
Wildfires rage on the West Coast. Much of the rest of the country still feeling frigid winter temps. Residents from Philly all the way down to Florida are feeling the chill, while others are digging out, braving bitter cold temps that are not letting up.
The wind makes it worse.
D.C., New York, and Chicago all at or below freezing today.
There's snow everywhere. Took me about an hour to drive, about 20 minutes.
This woman forced to walk to a store with the roads around her home nearly impassable.
Had I had not had kids at home, I wouldn't have tried to make it to the store in this.
Officials urging caution on the roads.
We have multiple reports of motor vehicle and traffic related incidents, so slow down.
Meanwhile, this morning, communities across the South stocking up at stores in anticipation of rare snow in the region.
They're coming in buying it all.
Millions are under winter storm watches from Texas to North Carolina and Virginia.
We encourage all of our residents to take the time to prepare now.
At least 4 people have died from this week's dangerous winter weather. That's also having a major impact on air travel nationwide. Many businesses and schools remain closed across the country, inspiring plenty of kids to make the most of the snow day.
First warning weather with meteorologist Tommy House.
Believe it or not, we actually had some flurries this morning in the hill country. This goes back 6 hours, and notice throughout the day we started to have a little bit of on and off snow shower activity. Since then, things are pretty much just scattered on out. So not too much to talk about in terms of precipitation this afternoon, but some of us had some pretty flakes to kick off your Wednesday morning. Here's how it looks right now. Cloud cover just continues to stick around. 37 downtown, winds out the north at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Feels like 30 degrees with current temperatures, all of us in the 30s, the exception San Marcos at 41 out the door early this afternoon. High temperatures today in the upper 30s to low 40s expected, 42 for a high in Austin. All of us 20 degrees cooler than normal. Here's the big picture. We have winter storm warnings in effect for northeastern parts of the state of Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Winter weather advisories for part of the Waco area. Central Texas itself not dealing with anything in Travis County, although just to the north of us could have some wintry weather expected throughout the day tomorrow. Here's how it's going to look with your day planner. Feeling like just above freezing, and then our high temperatures, the air temperatures will be about 5, 6, 7 degrees above that freezing threshold, which means it could start off with a bit of a wintry mix for most of us, turning to rain though by the afternoon into the evening. Here's how it looks county by county. A cold rain likely east of Austin down towards San Marcos and San Antonio. Some mixing turning to rain for the hill country, and farther up north and west of Mason and San Saba County, this could have some snow mixing in from time to time. Playing out your day tomorrow, we'll start off with some rain, and then there's that mixing in that pink contour, and maybe some freezing rain as well throughout the day. And then warm temperatures will kind of just turn this into a rain event throughout the afternoon. Heavy rain at times through the afternoon, evening, and overnight into your early Friday morning. When it's all said and done, some spotty icing could be possible. Austin itself, west of Travis County, less than 1/10 of an inch, and then west of Mason and San Saba, 1/10 of an inch or greater. Additional rainfall, 1 to 2 inches, which we need. We're in a drought for pretty much everyone in Central Texas, so that is much needed there. 42 today. Will be cloudy throughout the day, maybe some breaks of sunshine. I think most of us will stay cooler with some clouds and dry. Winds out of the north at 5 to 10 miles per hour. 33 tonight, and a late wintry precipitation is likely past 5 a.m. Your first warning weather 7-day forecast, 38 for a high on Thursday, back up to 45 on Friday, 57 on Saturday, 60 degrees by next Sunday.
Welcome back, everybody, and thanks again for sticking with us on KXAN News at Noon. The winter weather headed our way could potentially bring dangerous conditions to parts of Texas, but you're not alone if it also causes you some worry. A recent study found that natural disasters, including extreme weather conditions, are some of the top sources of anxiety for many people.
Joining us now to talk about it is Catherine Nin Emery, a Cedar Park-based licensed professional counselor. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you work with ThriveWorks, who is the group behind that study that we mentioned. And I want to start there. What was your reaction? The findings were 32% of people surveyed cited those natural disasters or weather as a driver of anxiety for them.
It sounds like a lot, but I feel like as a mental health professional, it makes a lot of sense given what we've recently been through in the past few years, especially since these natural disasters or these severe weather events impact our homes, our jobs, how we feel about family, a lot of sense of security and a lot of lack of control.
We talk a little bit about there, referencing what happened back in 2021 and 2023. Both of us were here during that time, and it certainly elicits certain feelings as we remember back on those really tough times. But how much do those past incidents drive some of those feelings that people might have, driving anxiety for it?
I think that those are absolutely related, depending on what you went through and particularly how much your body felt that stress of that moment. That's going to inform how the brain and the body react to, oh gosh, do I have to prepare for another stressful event? And the brain and the body are doing its best to protect you, but sometimes it runs on overdrive.
I think people fall into two camps. We were talking about it in the newsroom this morning, and I raised my hand. I said, I am one of these people where when we start talking about impending weather, I feel that anxiety right there. I know a lot of people in the newsroom were saying, oh, I don't think I'm one of those people, but what are some of the actual symptoms that maybe if people aren't aware this is what they're experiencing, they might be feeling?
Well, kudos to you for the body awareness. Okay, so that tense muscle, stomach, chest, throat, right, tightness. It's one thing to feel a little bit of anxiety while you're planning and prepping to take, to prepare for the severe weather. It's another that you've been clenching your jaw so long that you've been getting headaches, right? Or that your breath has been so shallow for a couple of hours that you're actually starting to get a little lightheaded. Right, so some of those more severe type of anxiety symptoms if it's been prolonged.
Now, if someone is experiencing something like that, what are some of the tools that people can use to try to counteract it?
If it gets to the extreme level or if you cannot seem to put down your worry, that's when we might want to talk to somebody that's more professional. But some general tips. It really helps to be prepared. Listening to what you guys have been kind of saying as we've been prepping for this, because when we start to have that trouble controlling the worry where the thoughts continue and continue, we can pump the brakes by literally talking to our brains. I know it sounds a little much, but by saying, okay, brain, I know you're trying to love me, you're trying to make sure I'm safe, but I'm prepared. I've got this. This is different, right? So that's one way. Another is to trust the process. So just like weather, emotions are temporary. The anxiety is going to come in and it's going to go. The severe weather event's going to come in and it's going to go. A lot of times we feel anxiety because we don't have control and we can't predict it. So focusing on what we can control in the moment. The present moment is where we have our power, so focusing on that. And then the last thing I'd say is to rely on your community. So please go check on your elderly neighbors, your disabled neighbors, and if you feel like you have needs, like if you're needing batteries for that flashlight, go knock on that door, go ahead and connect. I think what was so hard a few years ago was the isolation coupled with the severe weather event.
Very
so
true.
Staying connected this time.
Really important message there. Thank you so much, and such good tips for all of us. So it's not just about wrapping the pipes, it's taking care of yourself too. We really appreciate it. Nin, thanks for being here. We'll be right back after the break.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Welcome back, everybody. Your time now 12:30, and we are looking out live from the top of our Austonian camera over some gray skies to match our cold temperatures out there.
All the sunshine that we had is gone now at the moment, but we're also looking at those very cold temperatures out there now, Tommy.
Yeah, cloud cover will probably keep us in the upper 30s to low 40s today. One of the warmest temperatures in our area is actually at the airport, where it's 39 degrees right now. But look at the winds. 15 miles per hour. That doesn't even account for gusting up to 25 miles per hour. So it still feels like it's below freezing. 31 is that wind chill value right now, with cloudy skies persisting throughout the afternoon hours. Compared to where we were 24 hours ago, we're actually 4 degrees cooler in Austin, 6 degrees cooler in Marble Falls, 7 degrees cooler in Llano County. So all of us dealing with the chill out and about today. This is one of the big reasons why. Winds out of the north at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. A breeze of 50 miles per hour down toward San Marcos is contributing to that wind chill, being about 5 to 10 degrees below the air temperature. So here's the wind chill values: 29 in Cameron, 28 in Rockdale. How about 27 in Lampasas, 30 in Austin, 31 in Georgetown. So make sure that you bundle up throughout the afternoon hours today. Air temperatures toward the hill country: 35 in Gillespie County, 33 in San Saba County, 34 in Burnett, 37 Marble Falls and Austin, 39 at the airport. Buda, you're at 38. San Marcos, the warmest temperature at 41 degrees, and all of us east of I-35 in the upper 30s and some low 40s down toward Fayette County. So the cold air is in place. Let's talk about what's going to happen with this big winter weather event. So bundle up today. Cloud cover persists overnight tonight. Storm most likely will start very early tomorrow morning or very late tonight, somewhere in that 4 to 6 a.m. window for your Thursday. And we'll talk about when those milder temperatures will return, sunshine and maybe 60s this weekend.
Tommy, thank you. A North Austin church is opening up this week as an overnight cold weather shelter for people who may not have a warm place to stay.
It will remain open through Thursday night. St. Mark United Methodist Church says it saw a gap in help for people experiencing homelessness up north. It can be hard for them to get to the city's central meeting place for shelter down in South Austin. So the church teamed up with Austin Mutual Aid. That's a group that worked in this space for years to make all of this happen.
We have so many unhoused neighbors and neighbors that are struggling, and we know that there's not a lot up here in this area, and so our mission is to really serve the 1 mile radius around us.
Meanwhile, Austin's overnight cold weather shelters require people to meet at the One Texas Center on Barton Springs Road, just south of the river. Check-in happens from 6 to 8 at night. More than 280 people stayed there Monday night, and 200 people stayed there Sunday. Those shelters will be open through at least Thursday night.
Going in depth, our City Hall reporter Grace Reeder asked the city, why does it have just one meeting location there at the One Texas Center? It explained the shelters are at city recreation centers, but those rec centers are not always the same from night to night. So they don't want someone to show up at a rec center that is later closed. As far as having multiple initial meeting locations, the city says it has looked at that, especially up north, but it says it's hard to find a space that's large enough to hold a couple hundred people while they wait to be transported that can also open on just a day's notice. The city says it could happen in the future, though. Right now on KXAN.com, we've compiled all of the winter weather advice that we've heard from officials, including some tips for you on how to protect the 4 Ps: people, pets, pipes, and plants. Plus, there are also some instructions on how to get mobile alerts to your phone to help you stay informed. Some breaking national news here that we've been following. Leaders in Los Angeles, California say a massive wildfire has killed at least 2 people so far. The governor of California has also declared a state of emergency there as the intense firestorm is being fueled by extremely powerful Santa Ana winds.
Local leaders there even said more than 1,100 structures have been destroyed so far by these fires. In the Pacific Palisades area of LA, more than 3,000 acres already burned and some 30,000 people have now been forced to flee. This was a dramatic scene that unfolded at the Pasadena Park Healthcare and Wellness Center live on air, as you can hear KNBC's reporter Macy Jenkins reporting on the fast-moving wildfire. You can see some in medical gowns and wheelchairs scrambling to safety as thick smoke from the fire reached that facility. Ambulances and other vehicles help with the evacuation effort there. The facility's website says it specializes in providing short and long-term care and rehabilitation services. The FBI is now saying that it found a cooler with bottles of sulfuric acid inside a storage unit near Houston. It ties the cooler to the man who drove through a New Orleans crowd on New Year's Day. The FBI is also sharing this new photo of him riding a bike through the French Quarter on Halloween last year. The FBI would like to hear from anyone who was in the area on Halloween. The New Year's Day attack, though, killed 14 people and injured more than 24 others. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is directing the Department of Public Safety to increase its resources to help identify terror threats here in the state. Yesterday, the governor told DPS to work with the FBI to increase operations and intelligence. The governor would also like to see a plan that focuses on mental health, including a program for behavioral threat assessment, intervention, and prevention. The directive also calls for improving information sharing between the private sector and law enforcement regarding any suspicious purchases of materials that could be eventually used to make an explosive.
With a sentencing hearing scheduled for this Friday, President-elect Donald Trump is asking the Supreme Court to block criminal proceedings in his New York hush money case. The filing today comes after just yesterday a New York appeals court judge declined to block the sentencing that was handed down by Judge Juan Merchan last week. Trump's attorneys are continuing to argue the case should not go forward because he was protected by presidential immunity, as recognized by the Supreme Court earlier last year. Judge Merchan, in his sentencing ruling, said Trump does not have immunity until he is sworn in as president, but plans to give the president-elect an unconditional discharge. The Supreme Court has asked New York prosecutors to respond to Trump's request by Thursday morning.
Meanwhile, the federal judge who oversaw the classified documents case against Donald Trump issued an order yesterday temporarily barring special counsel Jack Smith from releasing his report on that investigation. That order came from Judge Eileen Cannon, who was appointed by former President Trump and dismissed the documents case this summer. She temporarily blocked the release of Smith's report until the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals makes a decision about how to move forward. Trump's lawyers also sent a letter urging Attorney General Merrick Garland to stop Smith from releasing that report. Trump was first charged in the classified documents case in June 2023. The indictment accused him of illegally keeping hundreds of classified documents at his home in Florida and trying to withhold them from government officials.
In more national news, President Joe Biden announced he will stop companies from drilling for oil off the coast of most of the United States.
Some members of Congress are warning that this could raise the price of gas that you pay. Washington correspondent Vinay Simlot explains.
2 weeks before he's due to leave office, President Joe Biden announced he'll ban offshore oil drilling. Ben Jealous from the Sierra Club says that protects U.S. beaches from oil spills like the one in 2010 in the Gulf of Mexico.
The risk of oil spills, as we saw with Deepwater Horizon, is very, very real.
President Biden's order protects 625 million acres of federal water along the West Coast, the East Coast, and part of the Gulf Coast.
It's like
the whole ocean.
President-elect Donald Trump has long been a proponent of oil drilling.
We will drill, baby, drill. I will reverse it immediately.
To reverse President Biden's order, President-elect Trump will likely need Congress's help.
Those actions on energy, anti-American energy policies, will raise costs even higher on those families who can't afford it.
Congressional Republicans say restricting drilling will make gas more expensive.
Another kick to the gut of hard-working families.
The U.S. Energy Information Administration says as of 2023, the U.S. produces more oil than any nation ever and exports more oil than it imports.
A lot of what we're constraining, honestly, is the continued exporting.
This environmental advocate says he hopes President Biden's order holds after he leaves office. In Washington, I'm Vinay Simlot.
Vinay, thank you. While former President Jimmy Carter is lying in state in Washington, D.C. today, people here in Austin are honoring his memory. This morning, Habitat for Humanity held a wall-raising ceremony. It was in part to kick off a new 12-home development in East Austin and the redevelopment of a community there that has been there for a very long time. But it was, of course, to honor the late president and his years of work with Habitat for Humanity as well. Tomorrow, they will have a public memorial wall available for people to come and sign. This will be during the National Day of Mourning. It will be at the Austin Habitat headquarters in Restore in 500 at the 500 West Ben White Boulevard block there, and that'll be from 9 in the morning until 6 in the evening. We are getting close to Girl Scout cookie season, but there is some bittersweet news today as we eye the release of those sweet treats. The organization revealed its s'mores and toast yay flavors are going to be discontinued at the end of the year. S'mores cookies have been around since 2017, while toast yay made its debut back in 2021. Lovers of these specific cookies can still stock up on boxes of those two flavors through the end of the year before they disappear. Girl Scout cookie season in Central Texas starts in about 7 days, so we do have about a week to wait.
Cue the stomach grumbles right now. I'm so hungry. Now we want to take you up to space at this point where you can see a stellar sight of a green aurora. NASA astronaut Don Pettit shared this video on social media of what he saw while on board the International Space Station. As you can see, it's a dazzling and intensely green Northern Lights display. Don is a flight engineer and has been part of the International Space Station crew since last September, where he's showed several photogenic scenes of space, but that is absolutely beautiful. Almost looks like the Emerald City to me or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to make a wicked reference.
Right, I know, it always comes back to that. We'll always bring it back there. Yeah.
I posted this on Sunday, this rain/mix map of who could get the mixed precipitation, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's wicked!" Like it was like the green
and green. Oh,
and I was like,
see,
you know
there
what?
You go.
There you go. It works out.
Okay, speaking of that mix, what are we expecting? Give us a last look at what we're
So it's going to be most likely a cold rain for us in Austin itself. If you're watching this in the hill country, we'll have some icing from time to time, high temperatures in the 30s. This is a mainly Thursday event. By Friday, clearing out a little bit, still some cloud cover, 45 for Friday, but then upper 50s, perfect weather for the weekend, 57 on Saturday and 60 on Sunday.
All right, thanks so much, Tommy. And again, stay with us as we've been tracking all of this throughout not only the rest of today, but into tomorrow too. So we appreciate you all being with us here this afternoon. We'll see you back here in about a half hour or so with another update. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care.